Here's the condensed first-person voiceover, don't have words flowing, and cinematic with a strong hook, a midpoint twist, and a satisfying win that still leaves room for debate. I've kept names and core details from the original written, like a real person telling their life story, using commas, hyphen asides, and occasional four-dot pauses instead of heavy full stops. The man on the catwalk looked at me like he'd seen a ghost. Then his coffee slipped and shattered, and the factory went quiet in that weird way. Heavy places get quiet when something important breaks. My name is Kesha Washington. Welder night class engineer in training. Caretaker to my grandma Pearl. And on that Detroit floor, a billionaire named Vincent Castellano stared at a crescent birthmark on my shoulder and whispered almost to himself. My daughter, you know how life divides into before and after. This was my fault line. 10 minutes earlier, it was just another shift at Castellano Steelworks. Forklifts, hissing presses, punching sparks, popping like summer rain. While my supervisor, Tommy Brennan, did what he loved most, which was reminding people like me where he thought we belonged. Cleanup duty. He smirked loud enough for the whole line. Real welds go to real hands. I kept it professional. Logged the assignment note. The deviation paper is armor when power is petty. And he doubled down with the kind of phrases that tell you exactly who a man is. Then the owner walked in. Armani suit quiet shoes. Eyes that had seen 1,000 balance sheets, and he stopped when he saw me. Not like a boss inspecting a plant. More like a father remembering a bedtime joke, the way you tilt your head when you're concentrating. The way 3 freckles map a tiny triangle high on your collarbone. He said 5 words to Tommy that changed both our lives. My office now. You're done. Yeah, that happened after security walked Tommy out. Vincent turned back to me with hands that actually shook and said, I'm not your boss right now. I'm a man who's been looking for someone for 23 years. Give me 1 hour. Neutral place your rules. I don't scare easy, but I'm not naive either. So I chose the coffee shop near my campus. Not his tower, with the glass views, and I called the university genetics lab myself. Chain of custody, simultaneous results, no back channel. We did the swabs in 30 seconds, and then the long part began. 6 hours that felt like 6 years. At a corner table by a drafty window where he tried not to stare, and I tried not to shake. He asked about Pearl. Insulin Price is her stubborn streak, the way she hums church songs when she chops vegetables. And he didn't pretend he'd been a perfect man. I built too fast, he said, voice low. Chose providing over presence. I cooperated to get clean, made enemies with long memories, and your mother ran. Because fear is a loud voice. I asked straight up, why do you think I'm her? Besides a birthmark and a head tilt. He smiled in that broken way men smile when the past has teeth. Because the first time I held Luna, she grabbed my ear with her left hand, same 2 fingers every time. And the first time I saw you, you touched that ear the same way when you got mad. Not science, love trying to wear a lab coat. That's when my phone buzzed from a blocked number. We see you. Stop digging. You know what I mean? The kind of text that takes a regular afternoon and paints a target on it. Marcus Webb, the private investigator, who's been on Vincent's payroll since dial-up internet, slid into the booth and said someone had asked the lab about a paternity rush before we even scheduled it. Either we had a leak or someone was reading calendars that shouldn't be readable. We decided to wait it out together. You don't split the party when the woods get loud. And the next text told us exactly how loud it was about to get. come alone to Pearl Washington's apartment. She sends her regards." That message hit like ice water in the spine. We rolled no sirens, no hero music, just 3 people in a black SUV, breathing like we were learning how. Her 3rd-floor window should have been warm at that hour. She leaves a lamp on so she doesn't fall. But the whole apartment was dark, and in the parking lot, 3 black SUVs floated circles like sharks. Marcus spotted explosives taped under his team's vehicles on the live camera feed. Remote triggers, dirty placement too close to the gas line, and electrical transformers. The kind of sloppy that doesn't just kill targets, it lights up blocks. The door to Pearl's place stood ajar. Inside, my grandmother zip-tied, but upright eyes calm and furious. At the same time, 3 men with guns where men with good mothers should have hands. And a 4th stepping out of the kitchen like a bad memory in a good suit. "Antonio Torino," he said. Pleased, I recognized him. "You sent my brother to die in prison. Mr. Castellano, so now you watch your daughter pay your debts." He wanted poetry. His word, not mine. And the poem was simple. Vincent signs over control of Castellano Industries to a shell company, and we all walk or we don't sign, and the whole block goes up. Security team included news choppers. Get their shot of a billionaire sobbing while a neighborhood burns. I wish I could tell you I was fearless. But the truth is my fear had a job. It made me notice how the window man's hands trembled and how the guy by the hall guarded his knee like an old injury. It made me notice my grandmother's chin tilt toward the kitchen window. Fire escape. And the way Antonio kept talking, because men who love speeches give you time if you let them. Vincent moved an inch, so he was between me and the nearest barrel. "Take me," he said. Voice steady in the way a man gets steady when he's decided he'll bleed for something. Not her. Pride over blood again. Antonio smirked. Consistent. "No," I said. And the word came from the same place my grandmother's prayers come from, deep and round. You don't get to write the ending. You're sloppy. Those bombs rupture the gas, main jump the transformer, take down 4 blocks. You won't get your poem. You'll get a crater. He glanced toward the window without wanting to, which is how I knew I had a thread. So I pulled it. And that man at the window has a daughter, I can tell by the tan line where a ring used to be. Lower the gun and walk, or you live with what your bullet does to somebody's grandma tonight. He dropped his weapon. The room shifted the way rooms do when a single person decides to be a person. Then everything happened at once. Pearl rocked her chair just enough to steal sightlines. Marcus yelled through his earpiece that the bomb squad was minutes away. Antonio swore. One of his guys fired wild wood, splintered by my head. Vincent put a round through a shoulder that needed humbling, and my skillet. Yes, the cast iron from Pearl's stove taught a knee some manners. Antonio ducked behind the couch and tossed a contract on the coffee table. "Sign or I finish what I started." Vincent looked at me, then at Pearl. "If I sign," he said, "do you still have a life that feels like yours?" Pearl didn't blink. My girl's life feels like hers because she claims it. What you do tells us if you learned anything. He signed. Slow as confession, fast as love. I grabbed the paper and tore it in 2 because contracts signed under a gun don't mean anything a judge can't smell. "This isn't how our story ends," I told Antonio. Sirens grew louder. The bomb squad started clearing the lot. On Marcus's orders, neighbors began waking, and Antonio did the math on national attention versus his appetite for it. He lowered his gun. "Your past will catch you," he said to Vincent. "Then I'll meet it at the door," Vincent said with her. We went straight from Pearl's apartment to Glassford University. 2 sealed envelopes. No drum roll, just fluorescent lights and the sound of your own breath. Probability of paternity, 99.97%. I didn't hug him right away. I let the air hold it for a second, then said, "You can call me Luna once." He did. We didn't get a fairy tale sunrise. We got Thursdays. Vincent carried groceries, learned which pharmacy actually picks up the phone, sat at Pearl's table, and ate overcooked green beans like they were a privilege. He fired supervisors who talked like Tommy for sport, tied bonuses to safety and respect, put real money into scholarships for women in the trades, not a photo op and invoice. Marcus moved from chasing ghosts to building protocols that keep the living safe. Dr. Foster sent us the final report. We framed it next to a picture from when I was 3. Pink hard hat cheeks like apples, a man with sawdust on his shirt, and pride in his eyes. Antonio didn't vanish completely. Men like that don't. But he did send a Christmas card, postmarked from somewhere, with mountains, 6 words in a steady hand. Some debts are better paid by leaving. Maybe that's a threat. Maybe it's surrender. Maybe it's a man stepping out of his own shadow. 2 years later, I walked down a backyard aisle behind Pearl's new house. Nothing crazy, just family, and a band that knew Vincent's old Italian lullaby. And I wore my mother's dress. We opened a center in Rachel's name that helps families find their way back to each other, using the same network that once searched for me. And on Sundays, we eat early and talk late. And sometimes when the radio catches a certain melody, I remember a voice humming and a word that used to be mine, Little Moon. And I let myself believe some things survive everything. Now tell me this, and tell me honest. Is Vincent a hero, or a man finally cleaning up his mess was tearing that contract? Courage or theater, was Antonio a villain, or just another son who couldn't put the past down? If you were in that living room pen on the table bomb, under the cars, neighbors asleep through the worst of us, what would you have done? Drop your take in the comments, call me out if you think I'm giving anybody too much credit. And if you've ever been told to mop when your hands were made for building, tell me where you're watching from and your small victory today. Somebody here needs to hear it.